Hi, it's Kayla, and as a lot of you might know, recently I bought a house. It's been 4 months, 5 months, 4 months, 4 months I think now, since everything was signed and I moved in. But I've probably been looking for about a year now. Was probably the first open house I went to, maybe even a bit more than a year. So it's been a really long drawn out process, and I'm such a researcher, so I tried to investigate everything and every piece of information I could about buying a house. I really wanted to read, but I found out that there wasn't, other than like that realestate.com provided you, there wasn't that much information about buying houses, and if you didn't want it from the bank. So I thought maybe I should start a series, and let me know if you like it, about my process of buying a house, from applying for the mortgage down to actually settlement day and moving in and dealing with movers and everything like so the whole process, and trying to kind of have it like an open book. And I can do Q&As and things like that if you want as well, about my experience buying my house. So it was my first house, I've only done one, so I can only kind of tell you what I know, but I did try to, during the process, find out as much as I possibly could, because holy hell, it was a lot of money, so I just didn't want to do the wrong thing, and I probably annoyed my solicitor and annoyed my real estate more than I had to, but they're not that helpful. Like, you'd think they'd know when you're a first home buyer, like, to tell you things, but they don't. So what Byron, who's my partner, and I did, first we went to our bank that we were already banking with, and we talked to her about getting a home loan. Now this was probably about 4 months after I'd started looking for a house. So I'd kind of already knew what I wanted to spend, and I also went on, pretty much all of the websites have like these calculators on them, which you put in your salary, kind of how much you spend a month, and they calculate for you like how much they'd recommend you get a maximum loan for. So I kind of already worked that out and already know how much we spend and how much the repayments would be, so how much we could afford. So I knew roughly about where I could buy, the range I could buy. So I probably looked for about 4 months before I even went to the bank. I just really wanted to scope everything out. So I'll do another video about house hunting. This one is just about kind of applying for the mortgage and pre-approval and things like that. Not the actual once we bought the house thing. I'll do another video on that later. So we went to our bank, which was just Westpac at the time, and we just asked her for pre-approval. So that was all fine. You take in your pay slips, and if you're self-employed, then you take in your statements, your tax statements for the last year, and they go off that. So I started a new job only 3 months before that we went in, so I'd already had a job when I started looking, and then I kind of slowed it down once I got a new job. But I thought I'd go with the bank and check out what the situation is. So she pretty much said if you're in the same industry for 2 years, then it's not so much a worry, but we'll go into a bit more of that later. So we brought all that in, and they asked you lots of questions like, is your situation going to change? And they put in all your salary and everything, and whether you have any other debts or how much your credit cards and stuff are. They put all that into a system, and then it shoots out whether they feel comfortable giving you a pre-approval for a certain sum of money. So we did all that, and unfortunately, because I'd just moved jobs, it had to be a more manual process, because the computer didn't feel comfortable just saying like, yes, we'll give you this money, which is the computer, so why does it have feelings? But anyway, so we had to wait 3 days to hear back from that. So, which, I mean, it's a bit nerve-wracking. It's silly because like, it's not like we'd found a house or anything, but it's like that moment where you go, well, will I actually be able to get a house? And what we found out as well through the process, so I am just employed, like I get the same salary every week, so I'm not too interesting, but my partner, he is half employed, as in he's a casual worker, but he also does freelance as well. So the year before, he probably made half his money at his job, like where he's casually employed, and the other half through freelancing. And as you do, like he claimed really, really well in the way that in the tax year before, he claimed so well that they only had his revenue down as $2,000 because, you know, he bought a lot of equipment for his work and like all the electricity and the travel costs and everything. So it came down to he only had to pay tax on $2,000, which is exactly what you want. But when you go to be buying a house, they only say your income for the year is $2,000 when you're self-employed, not what you actually earned. So it meant we were only relying on half his salary and my salary to get what we could. I mean, that didn't turn out to be a big issue at all because I wasn't wanting to overinvest in the house, but that's just something to keep in mind. If you are wanting to get a loan and you are self-employed, that they take it after all your deductions. They don't take it before like they do if you're just employed through an employer. We also found with credit, like lines of credit. So I have like a tiny credit card that I kind of just use for online shopping and to get points. So that wasn't an issue at all. That hardly took that into account. But Byron had a flexi loan that was in his name that was just sitting there. Wasn't really doing much, but it wasn't costing him anything. So he just kept it just for, you know, a rainy day if we ever needed some extra money. But they took that really like strongly into account. He also had a reasonably high credit card as well. So what they do is they take how much, if you maxed out all your credit cards and your loan capacity, how much would your payments be, and then could you afford, what could you afford, and that's how they work out how much you could borrow from them. So we've ended up having to cancel, like close down that flexi loan account and also cancel his credit card. Not cancel it, but minimize it, which really isn't a problem, and we've not run into any issues because he didn't use it anyway, but it was just there. So just keep that in mind. If you have really high capacity credit cards, your amount that you can borrow will probably be reduced, but I mean, you only want to borrow as much as you can afford anyway, so like I get why they do it. So yeah, we heard back 3 days later. We did actually have to follow her up, but we did hear back that we had been approved, which was fantastic. But all pre-approval is, it's a pre-approval that yes, we can, you know, we'll probably say that we'll probably be able to probably loan you this amount of money, probably. Like it's absolutely, like it's hardly worth anything. Like if you bought a house and then relied on that, and they said no, you have no grounds to stand on. So just keep that in mind. It's just an idea or an essence that, you know, yes, you can afford this and you'll probably be okay to borrow this amount of money. So after that, we kind of didn't want to get stuck into just one bank. So we went to a mortgage broker and she was really helpful, but I think they still don't realize first home buyer, like you still get shit scared. Like you just do, like you don't know what you're doing and you don't know the whole process. So we went to her and we took all the same statements and everything in, and she's kind of said the same thing, like, yeah, you know, you'll be right, mate. So we knew we'd be okay, but after that we ended up going to an auction to bid. That's a whole nother story. I'll make another video of that. Horrifying process, hated it, but you know, with current times, what can you do? So we went to the mortgage broker and she presented all the interest rates and what all the payments and everything would be. And the Westpac Bank just couldn't compete with it. So we've ended up going with her. And she's been really good and stuff, so that's helpful. But yeah, that's kind of the process we went through for pre-approval. So with the mortgage broker, we didn't get pre-approval because we realised, like, we've got one bank, like if worst comes to worst and the mortgage broker didn't work out, then we can still fall back on the Westpac Bank and kind of use them for pre-approval because we know how much they're willing to give us. So we didn't get pre-approval with the mortgage broker. We just didn't need to, and she was pretty sure we'd be right as well. So yeah, we felt really comfortable looking at houses in the price range after that. So that was our process with pre-approval. So usually pre-approval they just do over the computer and the algorithm tells you whether you're right. We didn't have that, but that's okay. So if you want to see more of our process buying a house, please let me know. And I'll try and give you as much info as possible. Like I'll keep the series going just to help anyone that I can, because the process was so daunting. So if you're looking at buying a house or apartment or whatever, it is terrifying, and you know, the settlement week, actually signing the contract, conditions, everything like that, it's all awful. So I mean, it's exciting, but nah, it's awful. It's awful. I'm happy I'm here, but it's awful. So I'll try and, you know, give as much information as possible. So give it a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe if you want to see more. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.